I am going to go over the patch notes for The Sims. So for those of you who don't play The Sims regularly, usually a few days before the release of a new pack, there is a base game update. Base game update has been weird. It's just like it's like what? Let's take a look at the patch notes real quick. And it opens up update the 12th update, sorry, it's American. December the 5th, 2023, part-time handy person checking in for duty. So it's already wacky. And then it goes on. If you're on PC, the version number that you should have now is 1.103.250.1020. If you're on Mac, it's 1.103.250.1220. And if you're on console, you should have version 1.84. This is after the updates. Make sure that the version numbers are the same as you see here, and if they are, good. If they're not, then you might need to force the update by verifying your game files. The patch notes open up Sul Simmers. The newest expansion pack has been freely living in all our heads, and for rent is finally due. So many puns. The property owner is coming to visit in just a few days. In other words, the for rent pack will be released in just a few days. But in the meantime, there's a couple of base game additions and a bevy of fixes to call out and share. Our favorite sim guru Nova is going to... okay, so it's Nova that wrote the patch notes. That explains why they're a bit weird. Thanks all, Sim Guru Ninja. So what's new? Sink assignments. You can now click on a sink and set the sink type to bathroom, kitchen, or all. So now, if the sink is set to bathroom, your Sims will never wash dishes in a bathroom sink. If the sink is set to kitchen, then they will wash the dishes in that sink. And if the sink's type is set to all, then again, they will wash the dishes in that sink. If you do not want your Sims to wash dishes in a particular sink, set the sink type as bathroom, and you'll be fine. I like this. The assignment you choose determines whether hands or dishes are autonomously washed in the sink. Unless, of course, you live for chaos and assign the wrong labels to each sink. We won't stop you from letting your Sims continue to be little freaks. So the next thing that they've done in the base game is switch control to this household. So basically what you can do now is by clicking on a door, you can either eavesdrop, knock on the door, switch control to the household, or start a break-in. And the switch control to the household is what we're looking at. And basically what that means is you click on that, and your gameplay will automatically, after a loading screen, your gameplay will switch to that household, and you can play as that household. This is for people who like to have multiple households in a world or in a save, and play between all of them or several of them at the same time. Or if you just want to be really nosy and see how much money a sim family has, or who all is in the family without having to go to manage worlds or manage households. SimGuru Nova says, as much as we love the manage world screen, every healthy relationship requires a bit of space. So we've declared a bit of independence from manage worlds, giving you the chance to switch your active household from live mode directly with the switch control to this household interaction. While we added this as a means to switch between units of your residential rental more seamlessly, this interaction will be available on the front door of all occupied residences, not just residential rental units, which is awesome. I really love that idea. In celebration of the release of For Rent, there's a few housewarming goodies coming to the base game, along with a cozy new outfit that will have your Sims lounging in style. Sims can now interact with the men and women's shoe rack items from base game to set rules for the house, determining whether or not shoes are removed at the door. Finally. I have been saying for ages, or thinking for ages, that they needed to add some kind of functionality to these shoe racks. Really glad that they've finally done so. See here, you can allow shoes indoors, have Sims remove shoes indoors, or wear slippers indoors, which is pretty cool. Nova goes on to say, which means everyone will know whether or not your Sim is wearing socks under those sneakers. Please, for my sanity, make sure they are. Never, Nova, never. None of my Sims wear socks. Just a standard. We have bug fixes. Base game, multi-pack, quick meal interactions on fridges have been renamed to quick meal or drink and microwaved quick meal or drink. Gone are the days of glass of milk erasure. Sims who finish their drinks while also eating will now make sure to finish their meal afterward. That's right, Mrs. Landgrab. Chugging your juice on the rocks doesn't count as girl dinner. Child Sims with the genius trait will no longer gain the want to solve hard problems. They're gonna have to wait a few years before diving into such complex abstraction. I covered this in my latest Sims 4 video, but this basically means that, or what was happening here is child Sims that had the genius trait were wanting to solve, they had the want to solve hard problems in their wants, but there was no interaction, there's no way that they could do it. Because it's meant for Sims that are teenagers and above. The Sims team have just gone in and taken that want out of the child Sims repertoire to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Sims with fear of fire will no longer be tormented by constant, unavoidable fire starting while they are cooking. That is good. On a somewhat related note, Sims will no longer be given the option to cook together on broken stoves. Ooh, that's good. In an attempt to curtail unwanted surreal horror gameplay, household members should no longer randomly be labeled as neighbors and become unable to use doors. That's never happened to me, but I'm glad they fixed it. In the spirit of respecting the laws of physics, towels hung on the wall are no longer translucent when hit with natural light. Maybe they were just threadbare towels. Have you ever thought of that? You know, maybe they were just old and threadbare and needing to be replaced. But they've technically, I guess, they've been replaced, right? Though they are things of beauty, certain columns will now indeed fade away when they would otherwise be blocking the camera in live mode. Oh my god, thank you. There are certain columns that I have stopped using because they just continuously show up and they constantly block the camera when you're trying to play. So really glad that they fixed that. At least I'm hoping that they fixed all of them. Sims will no longer be constantly using their phones at every hour of the day. Thank you. Not a cell phone in sight, just simulated people living in the moment. Beautiful. That's been going on since high school years. They put in that teenagers were supposed to use their phones more often because, you know, it's a teenager thing to do to constantly use your mobile phone. It carried on. Even after they aged up to adults, they were still using their phones until now. Everyone, every Sim, everywhere, regardless of age, is using their mobile phones constantly. And it's just, yeah, it's annoying. Hairy house guests deciding to shave in your Sim's bathroom will no longer cause the game to freeze. I'm just going to move on from that one. Sims should now be able to finish writing songs. Oh my god, thank you. Perhaps those of us with closets full of unfinished projects should take notes. Thank you. Oh, I am so glad that they have fixed this. My current Gen 5 Sim has the musical genius aspiration, and he needs to write 5 songs. He's written 2 of them, but they've each taken 3 in-game days to write. They shouldn't take that long. They should only take like half a day at most to write, but they've taken 3 in-game days. So every time I have him write a song, I have to turn off household needs so that everyone's meters always stay full. Because if he takes so much as a single break, he starts over from the beginning. So it just takes so long to write a song. But now that they've fixed it, I'm hoping that I can now crank out those songs that he needs to do. Child Sims will now only have age-appropriate thought bubbles. What kind of thought bubbles were Child Sims having? Have any of you noticed this? Have any of you noticed any non-age-appropriate thought bubbles that Child Sims have been having? Because I haven't. And now I want to know what inappropriate thoughts Child Sims have been having. After plenty of confidence-building exercises, certain table lamps will no longer snap to the wall when placed and will be comfortable standing wherever you place them. Oh, that's nice. Infants who age up in a dirty diaper will no longer produce stink clouds as if forced to wear that dirty nappy into adulthood. Rest assured, I hated writing that as much as you hated reading it. Ugh. So glad that they fixed that. Sims will thankfully no longer slip and fall in mud puddles while holding an infant. That's gotta protect those infants, gotta be safe. Adjusted frequency of body hair on randomized Sims to be slightly less excessive. So basically, what this was doing is a lot of people were having problems with either genetically created Sims or randomized Sims, so that every single Sim was getting like all of the body hair. They were getting like maximum chest hair and maximum arm hair and maximum back hair, and it's just like give me some variety. Body hair is a natural thing, but come on, give us a little bit of variety. Some of the less friendly toddler and infant hairs have been taught proper conflict resolution and will now play nicely with hats. Sims living in private dwelling lots are now willing to make exceptions for food deliveries, because everyone loves a good pizza, even territorial curmudgeons. That's good. So basically, what was happening with the private dwelling lots is if you had a private dwelling, normally what that would do is it would keep people from visiting your lot, or most, strangers from visiting your lot. But it was also keeping your Sim from ordering pizza, ordering a food delivery. So they fixed that. So if you're on a private dwelling, your Sim can now order order a pizza or order a food delivery or whatever. Basement hairs. Sorry, my brain is stuck on hair now. Basement stairs should now play nicely with terrain when the lot has a raised foundation. That's good. It was a basement. If you had a basement, this is why I haven't added basements to any of my houses that I've built for ages, because the stairs were completely messing up the ground level terrain on houses that had a raised foundation. I mean, the terrain would just like completely be ruined. Thankfully, they fixed that, so I can now start making basements again. Yay. Changing foundation height should no longer stop windows from being placed on curved walls. Well, you know what I want? I want more windows on curved walls. Because I've been trying, I built a museum in The Sims 4. It has curved walls. And it took me forever. I had to change out the windows that I had put on the straight walls because they wouldn't go on the curved walls. And it annoyed me to no end. So I'm really hoping that they make more windows for curved walls in the future. They said when they brought out curved walls that they were going to, and they never have. Sims have learned what it means to be that guy and will no longer constantly ask what happened for no apparent reason during conversations. What I'm also hoping that they've fixed with this is the fact that a Sim will run from one side of the neighborhood that you're in, from one side all the way over to the other, to find out what happened. It's related, but they will literally run. Like, my Sim will run from their house all the way to the edge of the map, and it will say, find out what happened. And I'm like, nothing happened. No one's died. What's going on? I want to know what happened when that happens. But I'm really hoping that that's fixed as well. Sims who would invite themselves over and make themselves a little too welcome have relearned their manners and should now knock. Oh, good. I had noticed, and I had thought it was because I have a famous Sim, so I thought it was just the Sims fans letting themselves into the house after knocking. They knocked, but then they just let themselves in. I just thought it was because my Sim was famous. Evidently, wasn't supposed to be happening, so hopefully now, hopefully now they stay out of the house. Much to the disappointment of illusionists everywhere, glass walls over basements should no longer hide basement walls when viewed from above. No, I'm still confused about that. I'm not quite sure what they're talking about there. If you know what they're talking about, please let me know, because I am not quite certain what they're talking about with this. We've educated Sims on the dangers of over-caffeination, so autonomous coffee making and drinking should happen a bit less frequently. Oh, that's good. Blonde gardeners and redhead pizza deliverers everywhere can breathe a sigh of relief, because parents with graying hair swatches are now more likely to have children that match their base hair color rather than unexpected red or blonde hair. Okay, so what was happening is, if you had a Sim that all through their life they had brown hair, for example, as their base hair color. When they turn into an elder, their hair will turn gray. Just it's a game thing. Their hair automatically turns gray. What was happening is that instead of the hair being the Sim's original base color, or the base color in the graying hair swatch, instead of the kids having that base color like brown or black, the kids were getting blonde or red hair, even if no one in your Sims family had ever had blonde or red hair. They were just autonomously getting blonde or red hair, which is weird. So it's a bit jarring when it happens, and you're like, are you sure that parent A and parent B are the actual parents here? But yeah, I'm glad that they fixed that. When loading back into a save and entering manage worlds, there's no longer a chance that occupied lots appear empty. Okay, yeah, I know what they're talking about there. That's good. A previously unnamed Poohoo bush has now discovered its true name. Okay. So in console, if you're a console player, hitting the undo button on the controller no longer pulls up the search bar in build mode. Glad that they fixed that. In kits, the nails from Poolside Splash are now tagged for both masculine and feminine frame Sims. And as fun as it was, Sims should no longer grow a second pair of feet when wearing the retro bikini from Poolside Splash. Yeah, that was happening. If you have Poolside Splash and you wore the retro, you had your Sim wear the retro bikini, they would grow a second pair of feet. One foot, and then on the other foot, 1 foot, 2 foot. It was so weird. It was freaky and weird and mildly disconcerting. Majorly disconcerting, I should say. But yeah. In Laundry Day, hampers can now be dragged in and out of Sim inventories in live mode. The excuses for putting off laundry end here. And dirty cloth diapers will now go into laundry hampers where they belong rather than the floor where they do not belong. That's good. In Dream Home Decorator, the standard gas oven by Blazin' Ladles no longer disappears when placed on lots. Oh, thank goodness. May your ladles remain ever ablaze. My Wedding Stories, certain veils should no longer force Sims to have red hair. Seriously, what is it with this update in red hair? Says Nova. In werewolves will no longer autonomously check on infants during the rampage. Werewolf families are now going to have a lot less traumatized kids. In Seasons, plants no longer revert to dirt piles in dormant phases and instead will simply stop growing. They should also now only become dormant when entering their off seasons at the appropriate time. Good. Hopefully, this is the last we'll hear of this bug because it keeps cropping up, and I'm really hoping that they've fixed it once and for all this time. Get famous. Sims who have chosen to forgo the spotlight will no longer gain unwanted fame. In Cottage Living, Sims will now retain the heroic haggler buff when buying discounted items at village shops after haggling. Let them enjoy their Karen moment. Your Sims will no longer be doomed to a life of Sisyphean crafting endeavors. They should now be able to complete the task to create a cross-stitch for the Taste for Adventure errand. That is really good. High school years. The pink swatch of the benchmark seating chair is no longer masquerading as blue in the preview. And teens who get more than 250 Social Bunny followers should now be able to complete the 3rd level admired icon aspiration. Nice. In Growing Together, playing other households will no longer cause Sims to forget certain achieved milestones. In other words, the game will neither gaslight nor gatekeep your girl boss Sims anymore. We gave that creepy tree in San Sequoia a stern warning. It should no longer be encroaching upon the buildable area of the Sequoia Cottage lot. Sims will no longer earn the first promotion milestone when getting a new job, no matter how much your Sim is willing to be annoying and debate the semantics of that. And toddlers should now be able to sing a song with infants without being interrupted. That's good. You should never interrupt toddlers when they want to sing. Toddlers, when they sing, it's just super cute. In Horse Ranch, your adorable little money laundering scheme has yeed its last haul. Sims will no longer receive double the stated number of simoleons for selling mini goats and sheep. Gosh darn it. That was a good way to make money. Sims riding horses should now have an easier time saying howdy and other things to other horses nearby. Sims will no longer be taunted by an unreachable log filled with frogs in Chestnut Ridge. And the era of heavy metal square dancing has waned. Sims will now only autonomously perform cowpoke dance if ranch music and only if ranch music is playing. But you can still make them dance, perform the cowpoke dance if you want to, by taking control of the sim and having them do the cowpoke dance. So if you still want your sim to get down with the cowpoke or get down with the hoedown to heavy metal music, you still can. And then for rent, fixed an issue where rent could go to the into negatives or be excessively high. And this, you may be thinking, wait, for rent hasn't come out yet. You're right, it hasn't. It comes out on December 7th. But there have been a handful of EA Creator Network simmers over on YouTube who were given super early access to the build. As playing through, they went through and made bug reports, as a good simmer should, and that allowed the Sims team to patch this through, to make this patch ahead of time, which is awesome. So that is the Sims 4 updates. That's everything that has been added to the base game and specific packs for today, the 5th of December, 2023. Ahead of the release of the For Rent pack, which should happen soon.